Hello and welcome back to the Football Chat Podcast. Today is episode 122, where we're beginning a series here on the channel. We're going to look at all 20 Premier League clubs, look at their season last season, what went well, what went wrong, and how they can improve going into this season. So we'll look at their whole squad, sort of tear it apart, rebuild it for the clubs that need it, improve it for the clubs that need it, and sort of leave it for Manchester City. But we'll break down the clubs, sort it all out, and yeah, basically just give our opinion on how they can improve for next season, and then we'll finish up with some predictions. So of course Arsenal, we'll start in alphabetical order, so we'll go from Arsenal first. Last season was very successful by some metrics, but others would claim they bottled it. How do you feel on it?
I look at it two ways. I think from the season previous to this one, they really stepped it up. They were much better, and for the majority of the season, they were on course to win the Premier League title. But you have to look at it from the other way for me and go, they were so far clear and were so close to winning the title. And in the manner they threw it away, the sizable gap they had, they threw away. I think it's a mix of pros and cons. Overall, it's a strong season, but you feel like it was a big loss. Because this might be, who knows, you look at this, you look at some of the teams now, that could have been Arsenal's best chance for the next few years. That's
the thing, it's just one or two results go a different way and suddenly you're looking at it as they could be Premier League champions at this point. Probably another 6 points they would have claimed the title. So, I mean, people watching on YouTube, get involved in the comments below. Did Arsenal bottle the league, or was it sort of inevitable that they would fall off? Because Man City, I mean, they're not undeserved winners, are they?
They're not. But, I mean, City wouldn't have won it. Yes, City had brilliant form, but they wouldn't have won it if Arsenal had just won their games.
Yeah.
Or just picked up points.
I do think, though, the games between Arsenal and City demonstrated how there is a gulf. There is a gulf in quality right now. And while Arsenal could close that with some good business this summer, it is going to take some good business.
Yeah.
Man City have invested 1.18 billion in their squad in the last decade, isn't it? Something like that. Obviously, net spend and all that balances out. They have made sales, but they've spent a lot of money. That's what Arsenal need to do. Arsenal need to clear out the deadwood, bring in some top talent, and then look to push on next season. But overall, a decent campaign. Premier League, they're excellent. In Europe, I think they fell very short of expectations. The Europa League was definitely a competition they could have won.
I feel that's the thing for me is when they lost to Sporting in the Europa League, I thought, well, they won't mind that too much because that's put full focus on the league. And then they went and threw the league away. They threw away both. Which is, I think, just inexcusable, really. But
yeah, I mean, I don't even remember their Carabao Cup run. I think they were knocked out by, Wolves, I want to say. Brighton, maybe? Someone like that. Honestly, can't remember. And obviously, the FA Cup, they were knocked out by City. But for a season that had so much promise, to come away with no trophies, I think there will be a little bit of disappointment. Yeah, I think it was Forest. A bit of disappointment in the mouths, a bit of taste in the mouths of Arsenal fans. I feel like they should have come away with something from this season. Even if it wasn't the Premier League trophy, they could have claimed a domestic trophy. Yeah. But overall, I think they'll be pleased with the progress they made, but they need to push on now, Arsenal, and make better of it next year. So how do they go about doing it? Well, we'll start our sort of rebuild by looking at the contracts that are expiring this summer and next summer. So 2023. The year we're currently in, Maitland-Niles and Reiss Nelson's contracts expire. And Reiss Nelson apparently close to agreeing an extension, though. Do you think that's a good move?
I don't know. I look at Reiss Nelson. Is he good enough rotation quality in the Premier League? Is he good enough rotation quality in the Champions League? I think there's question marks there. He might have won Game Changer of the Season award from the Premier League, but that's just to make him feel better.
Yeah, I think... For me, I feel for Reiss Nelson because when you saw him play for Feyenoord, he was sensational. And I think if he got a move to a Dortmund or someone like that, that would be a fantastic bit of business. A fantastic move for him. Instead, he's going to be sat rotting on the Arsenal bench again. I just don't think... I don't know if he's Arsenal quality right now. He needs a place where he can go and develop, where he will be a top quality player. And I think Dortmund would represent the right sort of challenge, or one of the top sides in Ligue 1. Could be really good for him. Or even, I mean, La Liga's probably a bit slow. He'd probably tear it apart.
He won't be challenged.
Takefusa Kubo, but if he's moving there, if he dominates, then that's sensational for him. But we saw how good he was in the Eredivisie. Let's give him a shot somewhere else. He's not going to start for Arsenal. he was crucial. He played really well when he
did
when he got on the pitch. Crucial is the wrong word, but he's shown he's good enough to play for Arsenal. It's just that Arteta just didn't rotate enough last year.
Yeah.
But if he does rotate enough this year and Nelson gets the opportunities, then fair enough. I just don't think it's fair on him for Arsenal to keep him around and then to not give him any opportunities. Yeah. So it was me, I would let him leave because I think you can get a better backup who's more promising, as we'll go on to when we make some suggestions for improvements. Maitland-Niles, I would expect him to be going Championship football.
Get rid of him. Let him go. Pay him to leave. I know his contract's expiring this year.
He's probably going to go to a Championship side. I could see him at Luton Town. I wouldn't mind that as a Luton Town fan. I think he'd offer adequate cover at right wing back.
Preston.
Okay.
I think he's
I don't know.
Rubbish.
I think he's a top.
No.
He's not rubbish at all.
He is rubbish.
He's not. He's just not Premier League top Premier League quality. We can definitely play for relegation side. He can definitely play at the top of the Championship. And we saw when he played for Roma that he does have the quality to play abroad. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone like a Villarreal picked him up.
Pace that football though, blimey.
He did really well for Roma. Well, he did fine, when he played. He wasn't stunning, but he played well enough.
I think he's Championship quality for me.
I disagree. I think he's a good player. I think in the Championship he walks it, and that's...
I mean, from an Arsenal point of view, they let him go.
Oh, yeah, of course. He's not really good enough to play for Arsenal. Then on to 2024. Some big problems here that they face, and I think a lot of these players will go on to be sold, but we'll highlight first the four that I don't think are too important, because you've got Mohamed El Neni, Rob Holding, Granit Xhaka and Jorginho.
Well, it looks like Xhaka's going to leave this summer. Rob Holding should be banished from the football club.
I don't know. Holding's not tragic, but I think he'll leave.
El Neni is awful. And Jorginho, I don't know why they brought him in.
So Jorginho looks like he'll move to Maurizio Sarri's Lazio. That doesn't really surprise anyone, does it, for about 20 mil? That's a good bit of business for Arsenal. They signed him for 15. I think so. Xhaka apparently going to Bayer Leverkusen to go and play for Xabi Alonso. I think that's a really fun move, and I think he'll do really well in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Rob Holding, I could see another Prem side coming in for Rob Holding though. Again, Luton Town, Sheffield United,
Southampton.
Come back up to the Prem could be a good option. I don't know if they've got them. I don't think you could really pay his wages in the Championship though. I think Holding's still good enough to command a decent wage. He could take a cut to go down there, of course, but I think he'll have more attractive offers than Southampton, and he could also stay for a season because he'll stay and then join on a free. Southampton don't really want that because he's probably going to be 5-10 mil that Arsenal would want for him.
I'll say Arsenal will not make much money off him.
No, but that 5-10 mil is still a lot for a club that need to deal with relegation effectively. Yeah. And then Mohamed El Neni sort of shown he's never really going to be Arsenal quality. But the biggest problem for Arsenal is that William Saliba's contract expires in 2024.
How can you allow your best player?
This has to be signed. And it needs to be a 5-year extension. If this isn't signed before this episode goes out, I'll be stunned. They've got to be on top of this, surely.
For me, from a non-Arsenal point of view, it should be a 5-year deal with an option to extend by a year.
Yeah, make it as long as you possibly can, really.
10 years.
Yeah, if you can. But if you're another club, do you not just put a tempting bid in for Saliba? Because if I'm Man City, if I'm Real Madrid, maybe he's not that quality yet. Maybe I'm Barcelona, though.
I think he's young, and also he's out for half a year of injury.
But, yeah.
That's a massive gamble to take on a player like that. A young centre-half.
I think he's still stunning though.
He is, but this was his first season in Premier League football, and he missed half it because of an injury.
Well, he showed his quality in Ligue 1 as well last year, but if you see how before his injury, before the World Cup, Arsenal was so solid. Then the World Cup game, he dipped in form, he got injured, and Arsenal fell away. I know it's not... I think that could just be a coincidental correlation, but there's something in it that would say that Saliba was a massive part of the Arsenal side, and he was. He played so well this year, they even made a song about him that definitely gets stuck in anyone's head. So, yeah, I think he's integral to this Arsenal side. If I was another top side in Europe, if I'm a Bayern Munich even, I'm tempted with a 30 mil bid this summer, because if you turn Saliba's head, he might say, well, I'm not going to renew, and then Arsenal have to sell or lose him on free. So in that case, you could get him cheap, but Arsenal have got to be in there, they've got to negotiate this, and they've got to get it done quickly. Yeah, before another club realises is available.
Give him as much money as he wants.
Yeah, give him whatever he wants. I don't even know what he's on now, but I imagine he will be receiving a massive pay rise. I don't know if he's on like 100 grand a week.
Double it.
Double at 200. All right, fair enough. Should we do a squad keep or sell then?
Oh, I've missed doing these.
These were brilliant last year, weren't they? We'll start as we did with the goalkeepers. We're going to run through the whole squad. We're going to talk about a player. We're going to decide whether they should stay at the Arsenal side, whether they should be sold. We'll start around Ramsdale. This could be a contentious point.
Keep unless you find a better.
I would say keep him for this season. I think see how he does this year. I think he's definitely shown promise. I think he's a really good goalkeeper. He's a great personality. However, it does worry me the amount of errors he's made, and in crucial games. In Sporting, in the Europa League, he really struggled in that match. Every time Man City have been in the vicinity of him, he's crumbled. So I would have serious concerns about him.
He let Southampton score 3.
Exactly, he passed on to Carlos Alcaraz. Not Carlos Alcaraz. Is it Carlos Alcaraz? It is Carlos Alcaraz.
Carlos, isn't it?
Can't remember his name. Can't remember his first name. But yeah, he's a good player, but really shouldn't have been handed that opportunity to score from Aaron Ramsdale. So I would keep him for this season, but I would have reservations. Runar Runarsson.
Don't care. Keep him.
Fine third choice though, isn't he?
Yeah.
No, he's not going to play, but if Matt Turner and Ramsdale got injured, I'm sure he could do a job. And then Matt Turner.
Keep.
Again, what's the point in selling him and bringing
American.
If they'll be able to make a little bit of money off, I don't know, maybe one American wants to Turner.
That's not a bad thing.
Probably won't be once Gabriel Lina is above the age of 18.
Yeah, but he can still hold that for now.
Yeah. Well, even Ethan Horvath might take it off him in this season, hopefully. Do not disrespect Ethan Horvath. He had a really good year. He might even start for Forest next season. As for defenders, Hector Bellerin is still employed by Arsenal Football Club.
Let him go.
Or
no,
the comeback of a centre of the century.
No,
how old is Bellerin now?
Sell him.
He's 28.
Sell him. I don't care.
I think you keep him for his fashion, because you can bring out a Bellerin fashion line, and you'll be minted. But when's his contract then? Because it's not. He wasn't on the list that I saw of expiration. So unless he's, I don't know. He's on the Premier League website though as an Arsenal player. So
who knows?
That's stringing. And there is a picture of him in the shirt from this season, so he's definitely been there at some point to take a picture. But I don't know. Surely he's got to go this summer. But you could easily get a couple mil, 5 mil maybe.
That'd be a robbery.
But that's low though, isn't it?
No.
Bellerin's quality, mate.
Not anymore.
No, I think he's still a really good player. I think he'd definitely do a job for some good European sides. He could still play probably Europa League,
Forest Green,
Champions League football. Yeah, part owns Forest Green.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Would he be allowed to play? I guess there's no rule against it. There might be, who knows. But presumably he'll play for a decent European side. I could see something like a Roma, or obviously he was at Betis last year, but he could go somewhere else in La Liga. Anywhere really. Anywhere in Europe he could do a really good job. Kieran Tierney.
Sell.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans saying this.
Who want him. Villa have looked at him.
Yeah.
Newcastle are interested. You've got a lot of teams buzzing around him, and realistically, he's not going to play back up for another whole season.
Yeah, I would say another point is he's just incredibly injury prone and not good enough going forwards for the modern Premier League. I think it'll work at Villa because obviously Unai Emery likes to play he likes to have a defensive left back and an attacking left back, so you have the option there of Tierney or Moreno. I just don't think he doesn't really work in this Arsenal system, and I wouldn't.
He's not a trot Zinchenko unless Zinchenko's injured.
I think that there's definitely players out there that have been linked with that I think fit this system better.
Yeah. And
Tierney's not really going to work, so I would say sell, and I think you can probably get around 25-30 mil.
Yeah. For
Kieran Tierney, which is a nice return on investment. I think they signed him relatively cheap. Can't remember. But I feel like it must have been down at like 10 mil. Yeah. It's from the Scottish League, so surely not too much. But yeah, I think he's a good player, but ultimately not Arsenal quality. They want a challenge for the Premier League title again in 2023-24. I think they've got to let Kieran Tierney go. Yeah. I think a lot of Arsenal fans would agree on that one. Ben White.
Keep, no doubt.
Yeah, I think he's shown last season that he can play the system really well. He slots nicely into the back three from that right back role. For me, he's sort of the perfect player to play there because he's good enough going forwards to supply a relatively decent threat going forwards, but also slot into that back three. Gabriel Magalhaes, not even a question really. William Saliba,
again, get him on a contract
and extend his contract. Jakub Kiwior.
He was tragic.
He's a young player who only played half a season. I think he's definitely got some promise.
Fair, I think it'll be good rotation.
He only played 7 Prem games.
I think he'll be good rotation in the smaller Champions League ties and in the first few rounds of both domestic cups. So just keep him around as rotation.
And you can start giving more Prem minutes as the season goes on.
But he was awful.
Towards the end of games, just start getting him more and more comfortable. I think there's definitely a good player there. That was shown at the World Cup. That was shown in his season so far at Spezia. So for me, keep him, give him minutes, see what we can do. Or if you know you're not going to play him, if you bring in some more players, loan him out, give him a year to develop. Maybe the Ligue 1, somewhere like that.
Yeah, maybe.
French League, I think, it was magical for William Saliba, so maybe that could do the same for Jakub Kiwior. Then Rob Holding, whose contract expires in 2024.
I genuinely... if I'm on set, that's the first thing I do.
But has he not played really well this year?
No.
I've been impressed by him.
He got his pants pulled down by Haaland.
But that's expected.
And the rest of the season,
Who hasn't had
enough. Rob Holding is not good enough for a team that want to win the Premier League. No doubt about it. There is no question. There's no debate there. He is not good enough.
He should not be starting every week. Don't get me wrong. But he provides a decent rotation option. A good figure in the squad. It's a young squad, this Arsenal side. He's an older figure in the side. They don't have many of them. I think he makes a lot of sense to keep around. No?
No.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, that's the first one we're divided on. Cedric Suarez.
He's out on loan now.
He was out on loan at Fulham last season, but he will be returning.
Sell him.
Yeah, the 31-year-old. It was a bit of a weird signing from Southampton, wasn't it? It didn't really make a lot of sense, but they brought him in when they needed another right back. He was adequate, but nothing more. He's not really the level they need right now. I think you can probably get a tenner for him, so take it. Go get yourself some match attacks. Up next, Takahiro Tomiyasu.
Keep good rotation. Can play both centre half and right back.
I think last season he was really good. Sorry, the season before last was really good. Last season, I think he was patchy.
I don't think he did something. We didn't play.
He did.
Ben White
and when he played, he was patchy. So I do have concerns over him.
How many games did he play last year?
He was out injured for the first half of this campaign, wasn't he? That's why they put White there. He played 21 matches. They won 16 of those and only lost 3. But decent. 1 clean sheet with him in defence out of 21 appearances. That is quite poor.
They won 16 of those games.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
So he's every time they're winning the games, but every time he was involved,
I think he's fine.
They conceded some goals. Yeah, he's a good player, but I do have some question marks. I think it'll be interesting to see how he plays this season.
Yeah.
Pablo Mari.
Why is he still here? Why is this still exist in the Premier League?
Yeah,
Get rid of him. He's 29.
Where was he last year? Did he just sit around in the resis?
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't out on loan.
He's rubbish.
Was he?
Sell him.
Have a look.
Sell him. Just sell him.
See whether he's been anywhere. But it's a bit of a weird one, Pablo Mari. I mean, it's tragic for them. He never really showed his quality enough. He's been out on loan at Monza in the Serie A, where they have kept any clean sheets this season? I can't see it right here, but he played 31 times, scored a goal. They lost 5-2 on the final day. Probably got relegated. I don't know. Haven't seen the Serie A relegation fight. On to midfielders then, because Lino Sousa, Raw Waters, presumably keep. I don't really know enough about them. Possibly loan deals. They're young players. Thomas Partey, though, the first of the midfielders. So obviously we'll get on to a potential replacement DM in a bit, because there is a strong link to a certain...
What's going on with his allegations?
So his current court case is not really known. It's an ongoing investigation, obviously.
It's that worry, isn't it? Because they don't want to keep him as their backup defensive midfielder, and then if he gets banned, they're suddenly a big spot of bother. But who's going to buy him? Because I think
the moral implications would be worse than he's been banned.
But this is what
he's been arrested.
No one's going to buy him with that risk.
I think it's somewhere.
No one wants to buy an alleged, criminal.
Yeah. Okay. Nice dodging of the topic somewhat, but yeah, obviously he does have the allegations surrounding him. Thomas Partey. It's impossible to say whether he's actually done anything wrong or not.
I think you have to keep him because no one's going to buy him.
I think there definitely would be clubs that buy him. I feel like someone like a Juve would.
What, take that risk?
Is it a risk, though?
Yes. Well, it depends if he's done it or not, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I think you'd be able to. If he was guilty, evidence would have come out by now, or they would have prosecuted him, surely. If there's evidence to prove he's guilty, he may well be guilty, and there's just not the evidence there. By the way, I don't think he should be associated with Arsenal Football Club with this going around him. This, Greenwood wasn't.
I just think it's mental how he's still in the squad. Because for me, like you don't get, it doesn't go to court because for a giggle.
If there's no evidence,
something's happened. Clearly, I'd get rid of him. Either release him or try and sell him.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how obviously his court case goes. It's an impossible one to say because on one hand you want to believe they're guilty. On the other, if he's done, do you want to believe he's not guilty? Obviously. On the other, if he's done something, he shouldn't play football. So it's impossible to say without knowing the exact situation. Because if he's done nothing wrong, it's stupid to let him go because that's completely unfair.
I think you should have to take the risk and let him go. I mean, it might be unfair, but how's he got himself into that situation?
That's not. You can be taken advantage of to try. People will try and force the situation because they know they can get money out of it.
Anywho, I'd sell him.
Okay, I think it's a really touchy subject. So, until we know the truth of the situation, I think it's impossible to make a decision. Bukayo Saka, though, that's a bit easier.
Keep.
Just put on a 10,000-year deal, give him every penny that the club has, and the same follows for Martin Odegaard, really, doesn't it?
Again.
A more interesting question is that of their number 10, Emil Smith-Rowe.
Play him.
Really?
Yes, play. I cannot. It doesn't infuriate me more. Nothing infuriates me more when you have probably one of the most talented players in the Premier League and you sit him on the bench.
He's not one of the most talented players in the Premier League. That is farcical.
He is magical.
I think he's a really good player, but he's injured for half this campaign, only made 12 appearances. He's injured.
He wasn't injured for the whole season, was he?
He was injured for the first half of the campaign, then he slowly got back. Yes, they didn't play him enough.
The fact he played 9 less games than Kiwior speaks volumes.
I agree he didn't play enough, but sell him. No. He's not going to get minutes over Trossard, he's not going to get minutes over Martinelli, so where does he get minutes? He doesn't fit in the side, sell him. That's an easy £20 million from someone like Aston Villa or West Ham. Lovely jubbly, he got 20 mil for a player that doesn't really, is third choice. And I just don't think I think he's a really good player, but he's not better than Martinelli and he's not better than Trossard.
Right.
So for me, he's got to go. AC Maitland-Niles we've already spoken about, and his contract's expiring. Jorginho
let him go,
looks like he's going to head back to Italy. That's a nice 20 to 25 million. Fabio Vieira, definitely a keep. He's played some decent minutes this season.
15 games.
He's got 22 appearances, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 big chances created.
But the thing is, though, those appearances off the bench, aren't they?
But they're not the numbers you'd want to see.
You've got to start him.
They weren't going to start him.
Look why Saka and that got burnt out.
Yeah, no, he should have rotated earlier in the season, and I think if Arteta could go back and redo the season again, that's exactly what we're doing. I think that's what he'll do this season. He will rotate them more. Equally, it was his first campaign of English football. You want to ease him in gently.
I know they're not the numbers.
Same with Kiwior, obviously.
But if he's coming off the bench for 5 minutes, then the numbers are going to look bad.
Yeah, of course. So I think they'll start to play him more and integrate him more into the side this year. I think it's smart, though, to just... You got him in the squad, he's in and around the first team players, he's in and around the camp, and then you sort of integrate him more and more into the side going into next season. We know he's a magical player. We saw that in the Portuguese league. He's a really talented footballer, and I think if he does get more minutes, he'll start to show that quality. Yeah. And that might give Odegaard a bit of a rest for a change.
He deserves it.
Albert Sambi-Lokonga.
Sell him. Honestly. Why have they got so many rubbish players just sitting around?
I think he's a competent footballer. I think he's shown some quality the season before last, but last year, tough start to the campaign. To the first half of the year, barely really got in the Arsenal side. Then went out on loan to Crystal Palace, and I thought that was a real opportunity.
Did he?
He did go on, second half of the season went on loan to Crystal Palace. That's what I'm saying. I thought it was a really good opportunity. I thought he's a really good player, could really perform well for Palace, but he just didn't play well in the games. Then Hodgson came in. He didn't get many minutes under Roy Hodgson, really. Overall, a bit of a waste of a campaign.
Had no clue he went there.
15 appearances in total in the Premier League this season. He's just not done very well.
At Palace.
Yeah, joined in January, obviously. On a loan.
Says it all, doesn't it? I didn't even know he was there.
Yeah, he had a season to forget, and I think that could spell the exit door for the Belgian.
Should.
Really good player, though, and I think if you send him to... I'm trying to think of a club off the top of my head. Lens, he'll cook.
Yeah.
Or Ajax, someone
French
like that.
league,
He'll do really well, yeah. Even the Serie A. Just a league where the pace is a lot slower. I think he'll do really well because he's clearly a good ball carrier. Maybe an Inter signing if they as a Barrea replacement, but yeah, definitely a good player. And I think at a different club he will show that talent. Mohamed El Neni, sell. Xhaka's going, of course. Zinchenko, keep. But do you start him?
Depends who you buy.
I think you can get a better inverting left wing back though.
I don't know.
So for me, Zinchenko, I think he's a really good player, but maybe not start. Be interesting to see. I think he'll definitely play a lot of minutes. And then Mauro Bandera, Catalin Cheryan, Matt Smith, Ethan Nwaneri. Remember him from the start of the season? And Mario Kurza-Duvry, Bradley Abraham, and then Lucas Torreira. He's still employed by Arsenal. Wasn't given a number this season.
This football club, I don't blame. I can see why they didn't win the Premier League now. Why is this man here? Get rid of him.
When did he last play a game? He's not played a game for Arsenal since 2019-20, I don't believe.
He can't still be there. He can't still
be there. He's not played a game of football.
That's got to be an error.
He's not played a game of football since 1920.
That has to be an error.
He must have been out on loan somewhere.
He's a horrific footballer. B,
he's not. He just goes around kicking things. He's been on loan at Galatasaray. Before that, Fiorentina. Before that, Atletico Madrid. So spent the last 3 years out on loan. Not played for them for a few years.
Why?
Still has a contract valid though until beyond 2025.
Sell him.
Yeah.
He is not right.
He's actually played really well for Galatasaray. So maybe they want him on a permanent.
Yeah.
They don't know what the huff's about.
No, I thought you could say that he'd come back to Premier League.
No, God no. But you can definitely get a bit of money from Galatasaray.
Yeah.
On to the forwards there in the last part of the squad. Gabriel Jesus, sit to keep. Martinelli, Eddie Nketiah.
Sal.
I think if you can get a good backup striker, yeah. And Trossard can play there, Martinelli can play there.
I've never been convinced.
Maybe one more forward. He did alright when called upon this year, Nketiah, I thought. But 30 appearances, 4 goals. That's not really
tragic.
What you want to see, is it? A lot of those were sub appearances. I know he played a lot throughout the winter due to Jesus' injury.
He scored 2 goals with Man United.
He did do that, indeed. 1 assist as well, so 5 contributions, 30 appearances. Not really. You did have him for about 3 months, I think. But yeah, he should definitely be sold.
Yeah.
I don't really know where to. The French league, maybe. Folarin Balogun cooked over there, so... He's also not on this list, Balogun, because I don't think he's ever registered with Arsenal.
Yeah.
But do you give him a chance, or do you sell him on?
So you can get money off him.
Do you cash in now, I guess?
Yeah.
I don't know, though, because he'd certainly been more than adequate backup. It's just whether he's the right fit for us. They sort of want someone who can play the false 9 role.
Yeah.
Would you look at Firmino?
No.
Okay. Fair enough.
He's going to Hoffenheim. He's going back to Germany, is he not?
I think so. He was linked with Bayern for a bit, but imagine Hoffenheim would make sense. Linked with Real Madrid as well, but that doesn't look to be happening anymore. Trossard is an obvious keep. Nicolas Pepe.
You're just taking the Rick now.
He's still employed. Don't know where he's been this year. Should we find out what he's been up to? Nicolas Pepe.
This football club didn't deserve to win the Premier League this year.
He's been at Nice on loan. 8 goals in 28 appearances. He's
honestly
been cooking.
The worst 50 million ever spent.
50?
70.
I thought I was going to say the worst 70.
The worst 70 million spent ever. People mock Chelsea, like, mate. This man is the most horrific footballer.
So his Arsenal record is 80 Premier League appearances, 16 goals.
He's rubbish. He is awful.
It's not even a goal every 4 games.
How is he still employed at a Premier League football club? I do not know.
He's been out on loan, but yeah. I think sell him to the French League. Lovely bit of cash. Probably not going to recoup 80 mil, but considering he's got 3 years left in his deal, 4 years maybe, it's beyond 2025.
Sell him.
Who knows? But yeah, a weird one. Reece Nelson, we both said should leave. I think he'll stay. And then Marquinhos really struggled to make an impact on loan at Norwich. But if you loan him to a better...
rubbish.
Maybe loan him to Southampton or Leicester, not Leeds.
Middlesbrough.
Yeah, could be a good option. Could be a really good option. So I think somewhere in the Championship that isn't Norwich City Football Club, and I think he'll do well. he wasn't really given many opportunities under David Wagner or Dean Smith for that matter. So yeah, I think Marquinhos though alone to a different Championship club could be very fruitful for him. But yeah, that's sort of the whole club. Should we get on to positions which need some improvement? Because there's a few to tackle. I did put goalkeeper on the list because I thought maybe we would say that needs to change, but ultimately we decided to keep Ramsdale. I do think though a goalkeeper is something to address maybe next summer if Ramsdale's not played to the satisfactory standards. But the positions we'll focus on today, some centre halves. I think
100%.
Clearly you've got a great starting pair, but you need another rotation in there. I think Holding can do a job, even though you despise the bloke. Kyrgios can do a job. Ben White can cover there. So there's definitely options there. I'd bring in one more, though, and the player I've chosen to highlight first is Mark Guehi. Now, we'll just throw some options out there. I think Guehi would be a great bit of business. I think you can probably get him for around 35 mil, 40 mil maybe. Because Palace would be happy to take that sort of money. I think he's an England international, of course. I think he's really comfortable in possession. A great tackler, a really solid centre half, good in the air. I think he's got what it takes to play for Arsenal, really.
Does he? But for him, does he leave a starting role at Palace to a bench role at Arsenal?
Possibly not, but it's impossible to say.
Yeah, my way for him was I'd look at it and go, how often did Arteta rotate this season without injuries?
But I also think he'll have starting offers from other clubs. I think personally, him to Tottenham makes a lot of sense because
he'd be an idiot.
Well, no, he wouldn't. He'd be starting in Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham side.
Starting in a relegation dogfight.
They're not in a relegation. They're not.
We'll get onto that later.
I was going to say that'll be in about
16.
20 days, because obviously weekends is factored in as well. But yeah, so that'll be some way down the line, Tottenham. But I think he probably might make a move this summer. There's a very good chance.
Yeah.
Or even Joachim Anderson. I think either of those, depending on which you can get cheaper. I know Guehi's a bit younger, I think. But both of those very competent defenders, very comfortable in possession, perfect for the sort of football Arsenal want to play. Overall, I think you take either of them if you can.
Yeah.
If you can bring them in. So yeah, I think Guehi would be a good option. Have you got any other centre-halves that you'd say had a good season, deserve that step up? I did see Robin Koch linked with United. So would that...
What?
But is a top level side what Robin Koch's looking at?
Yes, but that would be an idiotic decision.
What?
He was playing the league side, which have been horrific defensively.
Yeah.
That would be horrific. I'd rather get Gary Cahill back.
Some other sort of options then. What about Nico Schlotterbeck? Probably going to be quite a bit of money.
I don't think he'd
Probably
leave.
about 40. Would he not?
Why would he leave to come sit on the bench for Arsenal?
I think you've rotation though, isn't he?
It's another player proven outside the Prem. Look what happened with Kyrgios.
Very different. Kyrgios played one season of professional football. Schlotterbeck's got at least two. They're both different profiles. Kyrgios a lot shorter. Schlotterbeck's a lot taller. Also, Schlotterbeck's proven on the European stage a lot more than Kyrgios is. So I think they do draw some parallels, but I would also say the pace of the German Bundesliga is a lot closer to the Premier League than the pace of this area. So there are some comparisons. They are both players that haven't played in the Premier League, but I think overall they are quite different profile of player and with different experience.
I'm Eric Laporte.
Not a bad shout at all. Familiar with the style of football that Arteta's looking to play. Would probably be keen on the move because he would probably get more minutes than he gets at Manchester City, especially since City are looking at the likes of Josko Gvardiol.
Just an experienced head who knows what it takes to win the Premier League title.
Yeah, not a bad shout by any stretch. I think he'd be a really, really solid option for Arsenal. Probably cheaper as well. I think you'd probably get him at 15, 20 mil given his injury problems. That would be a concern for Arsenal, but if he is only a rotation option anyway... That's not too much bother. Plus, he's comfortable playing in the back three. So if you do want to change that system up at any point this season, or if you go into a situational back three like they have this year, then that can work. So very, very good option. Speaking of Man City, I think a starting left back could be a good choice. Could be a good option for Arsenal. I think looking at João Cancelo makes a lot of sense.
Right, City's team from like 3 years ago.
Might as well.
Yeah.
They're one of the best sides in Premier League history. Just sign whoever you can
makes sense
from
for
them.
both parties.
Yeah, Cancelo's not really in favour anymore. Not what Guardiola's looking to do with that City side. He likes Stones roaming forwards to play in that pivot. I think overall Cancelo's out of favour. Not really gonna. I don't think Bayern even going to think about triggering his release clause. I don't really know where else he goes because who wants him? right now, he's going to want high wages, so he's really got to be a Premier League club, probably.
Yeah.
Unless it's a Barca or Real, but it doesn't really fit their systems. For me, Arsenal's the only option because they play that inverted left wing back. And not a lot of clubs play his exact role.
Yeah.
And while he can just play as a
It would
right
be a perfect
back,
fit.
yeah, I think he suits this Arsenal team well and could provide a lot of quality and a title-winning experience to an Arsenal side that lacks it a bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of title-winning experience, sorry, any other choice at left back?
Not off the top of my head, no.
No. I could see Pascal Struijk.
Well,
Rating relegation. What about Timothy Castagna?
Yeah,
Leicester have just gone down.
It would have also been Walker Peters.
Yeah, great shout actually. Could do a job on both flanks, both of those. Castagna and Walker, Walker Peters can both play both flanks.
Kinsella would come in and start. I think here you go, Castagna and Walker Peters would come and probably play rotation.
Yeah, either way, it's going to be a heavy rotation this season. There's a lot of competitions for Arsenal to be playing in. Whoever signs is going to get regular minutes. So I think, we've got some all great shouts there. In terms of a starting defensive midfielder, I think they will look to bring someone in to replace Thomas Partey in that role and have Partey as a more of a rotation option. It looks like it's going to be Declan Rice, doesn't it? Don't think there's much point throwing alternatives out there. They could go for someone like Lavia, someone like Kefran Turam, who he tends to play more box to box, but there's options out there. It looks like they'll get Rice.
Touch on the Rice move, there's not much to say. It's a no-brainer for everyone involved. Rice has already said he's leaving West Ham. Arsenal need a defensive midfielder. They've got the money to buy him. He wants to win the Premier League title. Brilliant for all clubs. West Ham are going to get a massive paycheck.
Fantastic player. I think what he brings to Arsenal is a reliable defensive midfielder, someone that can sweep in front of that back four, but also someone that can offer something to the transition phase. He carries that ball forward, which can help Arsenal take it from defence to attack a lot easier. He's also much better in possession than Thomas Partey, while also having the same defensive discipline that Partey has.
I mean, obviously new to him at the end of the season, he knows what it takes to win a trophy.
He does, which is something that Bukayo Saka's not done.
Yeah.
Something that Gabriel Martinelli's not done. So I think that does help.
European trophy. And people go, it's the Mickey Mouse Europa Conference League. It's still a European trophy.
Yeah. Captain material, isn't he?
Yeah.
Could definitely be an Arsenal captain, because I think that's what Arsenal lack right now. And I think Odegaard is a really good captain. And he will probably be their captain for all the time Rice is there. Yeah. But if he was to be tempted away by a move, then you have got another figure.
So you look back to last year, it looked like Zinchenko kind of took over sometimes. When Odegaard didn't really do much.
Well, you need a strong vice. Zinchenko's too gobby really to be a vice. But if you look at every great captain, he had a great backup. Yeah. John Terry always had Frank Lampard. Roy Keane always had about 10 other people.
Yeah.
But
they'll kind of let each other in.
They all need a great backup, don't they? And I think Rice is that great backup and an option for the captaincy. But he also gives you options in possession, because what Rice can also do is drop into a back three. So if you want to create a situational back three that way and bring the wing backs forward, which is definitely an option depending on who you sign, that can work.
Yeah,
that can definitely work. So he does give you a bit more flexibility there, a bit more fluidity potentially with the system. I think he's just a really good all-round player. Next sort of position, because there's not much point highlighting other DMs. They're going to sign Declan Rice. That's pretty much done.
Yeah.
I put a fee of around 80 mil though for Rice. I think that's a great bit of business. 80 million.
For all sides.
Yeah, and though for West Ham, it's going to be difficult to replace him, as we will probably discuss.
That'll be the last one we do.
No, Wolves will be the last one we do.
Maybe West Ham will be the last one we do.
Last one you do. I'm just talking about Lopetegui by myself. But yeah, I think they also need another midfielder though. Xhaka's leaving.
Yeah.
Apparently, Jorginho's leaving. They need a midfielder to play alongside Odegaard as one of the more advanced players. Who would you sort of look at before I give my suggestion? Who would be your perfect sort of player? Because for me, a great option would have been Yves Bissouma, but he plays for their rivals.
I think you'd be tempted away.
Yeah. He's not had a great season though, has he? But when he was playing for Brighton, he was really, really good. I would also potentially Ismail Benacer from AC Milan. I think he could definitely do a job. For me though, the perfect player, Moise Caicedo.
Yeah.
Really good box-to-box midfielder, excellent technical ability, great passing for me.
I was thinking Brighton, and I couldn't think of him. I was thinking Pascal Gross.
To be fair, could cover it right back. No, I think, Caicedo. Yeah, so that does help.
But yeah,
But
that'd be brilliant pickup.
excellent energy, great ball carrier, great passer of the ball, box to box, is exactly what Arsenal are looking for, really.
Yeah.
And I think alongside Odegaard as potentially as 2/8s, depending on how they look to play the system, they may go to that 3-2-4-1 that we saw City play, in which case he would offer more in that 8 role than someone like someone like Xhaka does. But yeah, you definitely got options in that role, and it'd be interesting to see. I think Caicedo plays would do it really well.
He would.
But you do then also need another sort of backup.
Yeah.
Because you've not got one in that role. If you lose Xhaka, you lose Jorginho, you definitely need another player. And you're going to lose Sambi Lokonga. That's a lot of midfield options.
Yeah.
So, and Lucas Torreira. So you are going to need to potentially bring in someone else, maybe a younger player. Someone, maybe like a Ferris Chaby from Toulouse. Or, I mean, Federico Valverde would be a great pickup.
A lot of money, but...
Could be worth it, though. In fact, if you're not going to... If Caicedo is too difficult to be able to pull off, especially with Chelsea pushing for him, do you look at Valverde? They may look to sell him, given that they have just signed Jude Bellingham, and Real Madrid just signed Bellingham, and of course, they are looking to sign Kylian Mbappe. Valverde may well be up for sale, so that could be an option for Arsenal. Comes with Champions League winning experience, title winning experience playing alongside some of the best. So playing under some of the best. So definitely a good option in that role. Probably not both though, because you do want to have some money, and you don't want to break all of FFP's rules. Yeah. And then I would say a rotation forward is needed. If you get rid of Reece Nelson, you have no backup to Saka.
Yeah.
If you get rid of Nketiah as well, you don't have a striker. So maybe a right winger striker. If you keep Balogun though, maybe that's an option there. Maybe you don't sell Nketiah. I've put Jeremy Doku's name down because I think he's such a good player. For me, the perfect fit for him would be Liverpool, but that doesn't really look like that's going to happen. Liverpool have already made a signing, and they tend to not make many, and they need that midfield need to rebuild itself. So I think they'll focus on that this year and be happy with the attack they've got. But for me, Doku to Arsenal makes a lot of sense. He's a different profile of player to Saka. He adds a different element, a different dynamic to that Arsenal attack. He's a very skillful player, a good finisher, an accomplished crosser as well. So if you do sign potentially a taller striker, because I think they do lack height, this Arsenal side, he does just offer a tricky winger, sort of like a super sub on FIFA.
Yeah.
when you're like 2-1 down in foot jumps and you need just someone where you can just really spin the right stick and it'll end up for on goal. He's that sort of player. He's very, very quick, great on the counter. For me, he represents a great bit of business. I think you'll probably get him around the 40-50 mil mark. Yeah. Maybe a bit high because Rennes are notoriously difficult to negotiate with, but I think you could definitely, at least, at the most, 60 mil. So I think you could definitely get him at a decent price there. 60 mil for a backup seems a lot, but I think he's got a really high ceiling. He is a year.
I think he could take over a starting role.
Yeah, that would be harsh on Saka, but you could play. I guess you could play him on the left.
Depends he's on form.
Yeah, definitely, and he does offer you security because it's not guaranteed Saka will stay forever. There's a chance that someone like a Barca, a Real, a Man City can tempt him away. Yeah. So I think just to bring in a quality backup right winger could be a good option. Any other sort of suggestions for that role?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
I was trying to think of one while you were talking about Doku. I can't.
It's
hard to find one that does both.
But he can also play through the middle, can't he, Jeremy Doku? So he could do a job as a false 9. Any other sort of strikers they could target? I was thinking Luka Jovic as a good backup, especially if Hayes. It is. He's not playing the Premier League, but it's hard. Who are you going to get that's played in the Premier League? That is the quality Arsenal need. Probably not many, because you're not going to sign Harry Kane. That's just not happening this set. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's many options out there, so you're going to have to take a gamble on someone. I think as a rotation, Jovic could be fine. Well, Adeyemi could be a great option because he can cover right wing and striker.
Daniel Marlon, if you're a cheap rotation.
Yeah, definitely could be an option.
Not Anthony Modeste, probably not.
No, I mean, he's available. Probably cheap.
He's very talented and he scored in the Classica.
He did score in the Classica, so maybe bring him in case you play against Bayern Munich. But yeah, so with the sort of... So we'll answer this final question 2 ways. We're going to do predictions for next season. With their current side, where do you see them ending up? Or just sort of a general prediction then with the additions we've made?
Outside the top 4.
Think they'll be outside the top 4?
With the current squad outside the top 4. Because again, as we'll cover on throughout these whole 20 episodes, there are a lot of teams that will be coming through with bigger and better players who struggled last year, that are going to come flying out the blocks and want to prove a point. And if Arsenal don't change their squad and they keep more or less the same current squad, they will not get Champions League football.
Yeah, fair enough for me. I would echo a similar sentiment. I think they've got a decent squad, but ultimately, if the quality of the teams around them improves, which it should, and they stay still, they'll struggle. I think they are making some good moves in the market, and I think they could sneak that 4th position. But it's going to be tight. Because for me, just a pure gamble right now, this is a very early prediction. We will do match predictions when we get closer to the season, of course. But for me, in my head right now, it goes Man City, Liverpool, and then anyone.
Yeah.
Out of Newcastle United,
anyone.
Newcastle, Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham. Any of those could get top 4, in my opinion. So it's really up in the air. In terms of, because we are recording this on the day the Premier League fixture have just been announced. Nottingham Forest opening day. That's nice, isn't it?
It is very nice.
It's a really nice
and there'll be the first ever Premier League game on TNT Sports.
Wow. Hope they don't get blown up. That'd be really awkward.
I don't know, that is nice. No. Forest, we'll touch on it in like 12 episodes time. I think Forest will come out of a swinging.
They've got a decent fixture list though. Arsenal, Palace after that. Then they...
What is that Burnley badge?
Welcome Fulham. That's the new badge. Have you not seen the new Burnley badge? You cannot talk as an Aston Villa fan. The new ones.
Yeah, they haven't got that one there.
Atrocious. And then Man United, by the way. Arsenal's 4th game. That'll be at the first big test, won't it?
Yeah.
And then away at Everton.
Okay.
You might have a point.
So we're saying that if the current squad outside top 4, I honestly believe if they brought in similar players to who we said.
I was going to say, if we, just as the ones I've noted down to make it a little easier. Yeah. So if they sign Mark Guehi, João Cancelo, Declan Rice, Moise Caicedo and Jeremy Doku.
They win the league last year.
Do you think they win the league this year though?
No.
Oh, why not? Do you think City are going to win every game?
Probably.
Right, we'll get on to City, but as just sort of a question now because it's
I don't want to say who they're behind or where they are because then that'll give it away for the other teams.
That's sort of what
if I say Arsenal who's second, who's going to top?
Oh, who knows?
I will go Arsenal in the top 3.
Oh, okay. So they do. I think they are around that area.
They'll be in the fight for the league, but they probably won't win it.
But I'm going to make a controversial statement now, and I know Arsenal fans will disagree with me. But if we get to the end of the season, we're reviewing it, and Arsenal are 7th, I wouldn't be stunned. Because that is such an Arsenal thing to do. Yeah. To have such a promising campaign, and then it all just collapses in dramatic fashion.
Title, and then bang, gone, out of Europe.
But 7th isn't bad now. 7th, we spoke, 7th before was terrible. But when you think of the big 6 now, you've also got Newcastle in there. You've also got Brighton who are really competitive. Villa could come strong next year. It's going to be like a big 10.
Aston Villa had Steven Gerrard for half the season and they got Conference League football.
Yeah, it's actually going to be like a big 9, big 10.
Yeah.
Could you see the top half and the bottom half of the Premier League sort of almost splitting off?
100%.
Because we saw it sort of last year. Any of the bottom 10 could have got relegated.
Yeah.
And any of the... other than the top 2, the rest could all have got Europe or finished 10th.
In the next episode with Aston Villa. But
Yeah.
imagine Emery had been there for the whole season. Who knows where they could have been? Who knows?
Who knows? Anyway, as you say, join us tomorrow for Aston Villa. If you have enjoyed today, leave a like, subscribe, smash that notification bell into your phone so that the phone knows to notify you when we upload. We'll be doing these daily throughout the next month, other than the weekends. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That'll be a month. So look out for all of these. We'll be doing a preview for every single Premier League club. So we've done Arsenal, of course, tomorrow, Aston Villa. So yeah, you can work out you can work out yourselves when your favourite club is coming, or Harry might list them all off now for us. But that's all from us today. If you're listening on Spotify, then head over to YouTube to give some feedback or any of our other socials. Hope you have enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching or listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.